Right then, hello. This month's guest is Marina Gask, and I've known Marina for, wow, it must be around 10 years now, mustn't it, Marina?
About that, yeah, about 10 years.
Marina is a freelance journalist and copywriter.
That's right.
And her CV includes being editor of Sugar Magazine, More Magazine, Top Santé.
That's right.
And she's now co-founder and editor of Audrey Online. Is it audreyonline.co.uk or .com?
That's correct, yes.
And we're going to be talking more about Audrey later. But today I'm going to be probing Marina about confidence in the career of journalism, what she's learnt about her own confidence, and also about spotting confidence in other people.
Yeah.
And also we'll be talking about Marina's new path with Audrey and how she's helping women basically forge new lives for themselves.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Marina, let's start, because I think you know that I started in journalism myself.
Yes.
And I had, images of working on Cosmo in New York. That's how I saw journalism. But the reality was that I ended up on Local Government Chronicle, going to conferences on how far litter bins should be. And one thing that I had to do was go and actually doorstep councillors and MPs and so on. And I realised pretty quickly that journalism wasn't for me, and moved into PR, which was a much more natural fit. And people have an image of journalists as being very confident and very assertive. And I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about, is that true? And how did that work out for you, if it was?
I think confidence is a major requirement for journalism, but there are other ones. It's not enough to just be confident. I think you have to be tenacious and prepared to do lots of research. You have to have great curiosity about the world. You have to be a bit of a psychologist, in that you have to know when somebody is not telling you the full truth, to understand when their insecurities are maybe making them hold back from what they really want to say. You really have to be quite a tough character to be a journalist, and I think a lot of people go into it thinking, oh, it's just going to be quite a nice job, and I'm just going to get to write about nice things all day. And yes, you do some of that, but there's so much more to it, and it is immensely tough.
Yeah. I'm thinking about the people that you've interviewed that have maybe exuded confidence and been very grounded and sure of themselves, and those that perhaps haven't. What have you spotted about them? What helps them exude that confidence?
It was interesting because when I worked, my very first job was at Just 17. And this was in the late 80s, and I got to interview lots of pop stars and TV, sort of minor TV characters, lots of soap stars and so on. And sometimes these people would be you could tell that their confidence wasn't really based on a sort of genuine self-assuredness, that they were quite insecure people. So they'd be actually quite rude and quite difficult. And then sometimes you'd interview someone who was completely at ease with themselves, and you could just see such a difference. It was a really interesting route, actually, for me to learn about people interviewing celebrities, because often they were people who'd found fame very young and hadn't had time to sort of experience the world properly. So their confidence was was huge, but not sort of, it didn't go right down to the bone, if you know what I mean. It was quite superficial. Later, so after leaving editorship, I became a freelance writer, and I worked on many magazines like Cosmopolitan, Grazia, Marie Claire, and there, a lot of the people I was interviewing were businesswomen, entrepreneurs, people who founded charities, and they were so different,
Mm.
and their confidence was quite incredible to me. I was bowled over by these women because I just thought, wow, you know, I want some of what you've got. They
Yeah.
really did have so self-belief, and they'd obviously pulled themselves up by their bootstraps to get to where they were. So they'd learnt the hard way how to survive, and they were impressively confident. But of course, like all successful women, they had their insecurities, as indeed do I, but they nonetheless had learnt how to survive and how to get the best out of themselves in the world, and how to present themselves to the world. So it was enlightening to interview them.
Mm. Mm. And you mentioned yourself. So tell us about your own confidence journey. Has it, have you found it easy, or have you had to sort of draw on parts of yourself that you didn't know were there?
I would say confidence for me has been a how can I put this? It's come and gone depending on the situation. In
Yeah.
some situations, I am incredibly confident. You have to be to run a magazine like More, where I had a team of 30 young people. I was also pregnant at the time. You know, it was tough, and you just had to absolutely, you know, stand tall and fill those boots. And at that time, I did, but I lost my job in my early 40s when I had 2 young children, and my confidence took a massive knock. I cannot
Yeah.
deny. And it's hard to then go in and do shifts on magazines, you know, doing maternity cover for people where you are just one of many, and
Mm.
you know, you're in a tough environment. It can be quite a bun fight working in the media. It can be tough. Lots of very strong characters,
Mm.
and having my confidence having taken a knock, undoubtedly, I knew I was good, but somehow I couldn't embody that anymore. It was like I just lost the ability to really, really stand tall, and it took a long time for me to get that back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can
I think
relate
a
to
lot of
that.
women go through this when they either get made redundant, or go through divorce, or get sidelined at work, you know,
Mm.
or even you know, post bereavement, or the breakdown of a relationship. I think that a lot of confidence can come at you from many different places, but once it's gone, it's so hard to get it back. It's
Yeah.
incredible, especially when you've held, you know, big responsible jobs as I had. It's really weird to go, oh, hang on, where's it gone? I, I can't, you know, I don't feel that way anymore, and I don't know how to get that back. So it was a real struggle.
Yeah. Yeah. And what helped you? What helped you get it back?
Um, a few things. A few things helped. Joining a women's network. So I joined Sister Snog,
Mm.
which is a women's business club, about 10 years ago, and you are a member too, and that's how
Yeah.
we
That's
met.
how we met, isn't it? Yeah.
Um, and through that amazing network of women, I made some great friendships, but also rebuilt my confidence in myself, and also learnt to use my skills in other ways. So for business, I learnt copywriting. I did a course and then became a business copywriter. I advise businesses on how to get into the press. And I think through realizing that I was very good at that, and that I had a really useful skill set, my confidence grew. And also I was surrounded by women who were supportive, who believed in me and made me believe in myself, and reminded me that I was good at what I did. But also I had some counselling, and that really helped. And I addressed things from my past. I was bullied as a child when we moved from London to Manchester. Like a lot of women, I went through just some difficult things in my teens that, you know, stayed with me, things that were sort of holding me back. And I think I'd always had this need to be liked. And once I realised that there's no way everyone's going to like you, and anyway, what's the point? You know,
Yeah.
it was such a relief and such a release, because I stopped trying to be liked and just decided I'm fine as I am, and I've got, you know, a great group of friends around me who believe in me. And that was such a release. And I've found since then that I have I wouldn't say I've got my confidence back. It's a different kind of confidence. It's like a calmer confidence that
Yeah.
is much easier to live with. But I feel sure about what I'm doing with Audrey, which we launched this year. I feel absolutely sure about what I'm doing, and I don't have the confidence wobbles that I used to have.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. And it's interesting what you say about it's partly doing the inner work, but also you're talking about the network, the support, and that's been a part of it as well.
Massive part, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting that there are
interesting.
people who aren't. It's interesting that there are people who aren't from my industry. They're women from all kinds of
Yeah,
industries. More about our connection as women and as business women than what we actually do for a living. It's more about just supporting each other, cheerleading each other, encouraging each other to, you know, to achieve,
yeah,
to fulfill our potential. And it's a marvelous thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it's an inner and outer process, and having that network or tribe, or even just, you know, a close group of friends to support you, depending on,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, depending on how many people you have access to. So you've
Mm.
mentioned Audrey, and I know a little bit about Audrey because we've had many conversations about it. And I know that you started Audrey this year with Faye Watts, who is a business consultant and owns an accountancy firm. And in fact, hopefully we'll be speaking to Faye Watts in one of these interviews very soon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So tell us a bit more about Audrey then.
Well, Audrey came about, I joined one of your hothouse groups, and that was incredibly helpful because I knew that I wanted to start something new, something editorial, because obviously editorial is my background. And I wanted it to be something that would give help and support and inspiration to women who want to do something different with their lives, because I think it's quite common that women in midlife, especially post-menopause, perhaps when their children are leaving home, or if they don't have children, just reach that point in their life where they just think, I want to do something else. I want to do something more meaningful. And I thought, okay, through being a member of a women's network, I have had so much support, and I've found the strength and courage to do something different with my life. But for women who don't have that, for women who perhaps, you know, feel a bit isolated, but really, really yearn to do something different with their lives, there's nothing out there for them. So we created Audrey, which is an online magazine and platform, to give women that sense of encouragement and inspiration and support and advice for, you know, to have the courage to change their lives, to do something different, whether that's change careers or go traveling or launch a business or write a book, start a charity, whatever it is that they really, really, really want to do and have never quite dared do. Well, Audrey gives them the courage to actually take those first steps.
Okay, so I'm just going to show people Audrey now. There we are. You should have it on your screen, Marina.
Yeah. With the Christmassy holly.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So let's go back to the home page first of all. There we go. Welcome to Audrey. So I'll just scroll down slowly if you want to talk us through.
Okay. So there's new content every week. We have sections such as inspiration, which is full of stories of women who have done something amazing with their lives. We have advice. We have an agony aunt, Lola Borg, who is a therapist. We have a section which is all about lifestyle called You, where it's your health, your wellness, your happiness. We have blogs from well-known writers, people like fashion stylist Wendy Rigg, writer Miranda Sawyer, author Fiona Gibson. And a big section for us is the restart section. This is articles that we've written with the help of coaches, therapists, psychologists like yourself, exploring the things that we find challenging when we try to bring about a big change in our lives. So this one is all about it's like if you've reached that point where you're feeling heroic, as in, yes, I'm going to do something, I want to do something different, I'm not happy, I'm bored, etc. The challenge, I think, for a lot of women is, what should that be? And I think for many of us, for so long, we've not asked ourselves, what would make me happy? Because we've been so busy, we've been so busy working, running a home, perhaps having children, maybe marriage, earning money. We have not let ourselves actually dream, actually think, actually, what I would love to do is open a coffee shop in Brighton, or write books, or go traveling, or start a charity. We just haven't stopped and thought big picture, dare to dream. We just don't do that. And so these are the questions. This was written with the help of an excellent life coach. These are the questions to ask yourself if you're at that point where you're just thinking, okay, I'm ready, what's it going to be? This is how you actually work out what will suit you, what will suit your life, what will make you happy, what will give you a sense of real purpose and meaning in this big life change.
Another thing I really like about the site is that it's not just all advice, is that there are lots of stories that that
stories are really popular. The stories are really popular, and the theme for all the stories, I mean, we've called it inspiration, so that kind of gives it away, but the theme really is change. It's women who have done something audacious. That's our catchphrase: be audacious. And it's all about seizing the day, retraining, or leaving a loveless marriage, or quitting your job and going traveling. It's taking up a new sport and making that a major part of your life. It's publishing books. These are things that real women are doing, and they're women in their late 40s, 50s. I really feel that this defies the sort of traditional narrative of what happens to women in their 50s, whereby post-menopause, it's kind of game over, just sit around and wait for the grandchildren, or retire, or take life easy. Well, I know women who are doing that and are perfectly happy doing that, but there are lots now who actually want a fresh start, and Audrey is all about daring to dream, allowing yourself to actually contemplate what that fresh start might be, and then actually make it happen. And these are all women who've done that. And it's just great to read stories, just great to read inspiring stories of women who've just gone and done it, and who talk about the hard times as well as the good times. So they don't make it sound like it's easy. It's not easy to change. It's not, but it's incredibly rewarding.
I mean, I was just about to say, I've read many of these stories, and it what I like about it is, although Audrey is women's magazine, it's not the sort of, my life is perfect type magazine. The stories are very honest, aren't they? And real.
They are very honest. There's people quite open about, financial challenges, emotional challenges, mental health challenges. I think that's refreshing, is to read these stories, but also to read the positive outcome, and the fact that these women have all seized the day and overcome the obstacles that were in their way.
So, through the people that you've talked to about Audrey, and obviously people that you've interviewed, it's all about change, isn't it, basically? What have you learned? I mean, is there often a trigger that, people are like, right, okay, that's it, my life has to change, or is it something a bit more gentle?
I think there's a number of things. I think nowadays women, as they reach midlife, I think we've perhaps grown up differently to previous generations, in that we have higher expectations of life. We know we're capable. We know we're you know, we have talents perhaps that are unexplored, and rather than let those talents go to waste, we actually want to do something with them. I think also we may have had to make difficult choices as we've gone through our adult life in order to earn enough money to
Mm.
keep a roof over our heads, bring up our children, you know, maybe a sensible career rather than a dream career. So I think that is a major factor. I think the menopause also, once we get through the menopause, which of course can be very difficult, can affect our mental health, can make us feel down and anxious. Once we get through it, we can feel quite differently about life. And I think there's a real, right, what's next attitude among postmenopausal women. And I think also children leaving home is a
Yeah.
factor. For me, you know, contemplating my eldest son leaving home to go to university was a factor. And in fact, we launched Audrey the week Dylan left for uni.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And I think, you know, just the knowledge that our kids are going to leave home, and we don't want to be the kind of mums who sort of sit around pining and waiting for the phone to ring, waiting to hear from our kids. We don't, you know, for me, that was unthinkable. I was like, right, I'm not going to, you know, just kind of become sad and depressed. I
Yeah.
actually want to do something different with my life, and you know, enjoy a new challenge. And
Yeah.
Audrey has been a challenge, but an exciting one, a
Yeah.
very exciting one. And I think for a lot of, certainly a lot of the women I've interviewed, their big change has coincided with their kids leaving home. But there's
Interesting.
also women who haven't had children,
Mm.
who, you know, through choice or not through choice, but who reach a point where they think, I want to do more with my life. I want to make my mark. I want to launch a business. I want to write a book. I think it's these unfulfilled dreams that
Yeah.
we perhaps, when we reach our midlife, our late 40s, our early 50s, we actually allow ourselves to think, well, maybe I could do that now. Maybe
Yeah.
you know, that thing I've always wanted to do, maybe I could do it now.
Yeah.
And it's such a thrilling thing when you actually make it happen, and you know, and realize that dream, and think, wow, you know, I can live differently, I can feel fulfilled.
Mm.
And certainly for me, although it's been immensely challenging to launch Audrey alongside my day job, which is freelance writing, it's incredibly hard, but I definitely have a new spring in my step
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm doing something that has real meaning for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. So just to wrap it up, I suppose, I mean, for those women who are in, you know, that place of life has to change, or indeed any woman who, you know, is thinking, you know, I want more. Is there anything related to confidence that you would say to those women?
I mean, confidence is such a personal thing, isn't it? You
Mm.
know, we all have our issues with confidence. I think it's really important to share our thoughts with someone we trust, whether that's a dear friend or a support network, um, or even a counsellor or a coach. I
Mm.
think it's important to explore our dreams, the things that we long to do, and explore why we don't dare to do them, what those
Mm.
obstacles are, whether they're physical obstacles or mental obstacles, you know, whether it's about money or worrying we're going to upset our family, or uh, worrying about failure. You know, there's so many factors that can hold us back when we want to do something daring with our lives. I think it's really important to explore those and really check, are those really a problem?
Yeah.
Could they not be overcome?
Yeah.
I think it's really important to get people around you to tell you, to remind you that you're great and that your
Mm.
plan is a good one, and to help you to grow it and to develop it, so that you feel buoyed up with their encouragement. What else helps with confidence? You know, sometimes for confidence, I will just go back and look at work I've done in the past and go, oh, that was quite good, wasn't it? I am quite good. I do think that helps. Or if you've had a comment from somebody saying, I really love what you've done with this. I've actually, a newspaper editor once said, really love what you've done with this. And I actually blew it up to point size, 48 in a font, and pinned it on my wall, just as a reminder for any of those dark days when I just think, oh God, I'm rubbish. Oh God, this isn't going well today. It's just there for me as a reminder that a newspaper editor said I'm good.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all it takes. It's just a reminder that
psychology.
It helps. It definitely helps. But I think we all have our little routines, don't we, when we need to feel confident. If I've had to make speeches recently, especially because of launching Audrey, and I find that quite challenging. So I've found that things like talking to a few people in the audience beforehand, and so I've got somebody I can look at when I'm speaking, and doing a few facial exercises so that my face doesn't start twitching when I'm speaking, out of nerves, because nerves can overcome you, can't they?
Yeah.
Even if you know your subject really well, your nerves can get the better of you. So it's things like that. It's kind of like having little rituals that once you know they work for you, making them part of your ritual prior to giving a speech, knowing that works for you. It's almost like by doing it, you're almost preventing that problem from occurring. Just because you're telling yourself, I've prepared.
No, I like that. It's a toolbox, isn't it?
Toolbox. And we all have our own personal things that work. Some people will have a stiff drink beforehand, or or do affirmations, or do the power stance, or whatever. There's different things for different people. But for me, it's definitely about getting to know my audience a little bit. So I don't see them as scary. I just see them as a group of friends who are here to listen to what I've got to say.
No, I love that. I do that myself, actually. And I find that really settles me. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Marina. It's been really interesting to hear a little about your career and also what you're doing now. And
you're welcome.
And I've really enjoyed our conversation. So
thank you. Best of luck with the Bitch Network.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to show everybody again. So the site is audreyonline.co.uk.
That's correct. It is.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay then. All right then. I'll stop recording now. So thanks.